increase the number of American soldiers in Southeast Asia tenfold and begin bombing North Vietnam.
The United States destroyer Maddox was attacked on the high seas in the Gulf of Tonkin. The attacks were deliberate. The attacks were unprovoked.
It was most likely a fake attack, or probably never happened at all. It could have been totally misunderstood by the people on the ship, thinking they were being attacked.
The captain of the ship sent in a message saying he had not seen anything, and that he was now questioning all of his earlier messages, and that he believed there was a real possibility that he had been fighting a phantasma. The Pentagon and the presidency chose to ignore his last message, and they chose to use the Tonkin Gulf incident as an excuse for going to war.
That brought about a resolution which changed a lot of different things, for sure.
The determination of all Americans to carry out our full commitment to the people and to the government of South Vietnam will be redoubled by this outrage.
That was used as a pretext to escalate the war.
That incident was used as a justification for other action.
Now we know that it was a lie. At the time it happened, people were suspicious, but it was only later that their suspicions were confirmed, and it was shown very clearly that it was all a pretext, a phony story.
Inside Vietnam, Operation Phoenix begins coming together. The CIA is told to carry out a series of assassinations targeting civilians to paralyze the country. CIA experts teach special teams how to terrorize the population by killing teachers, doctors, and businessmen. Each assassination is signed. Every time a death squad strikes, a playing card, the ace of spades, is left in clear view on the body. Most of the victims are tortured before they're killed. William Colby, the CIA agent who headed up the operation, would become head of the CIA a few years later.
Operation Phoenix was an operation to destroy the Viet Cong structure. They wanted to eliminate anybody who had any connection whatsoever to the Viet Cong.
That was a covert operation which we were instructed to carry out in order to distract and hinder the North Vietnamese effort.
Bill Colby is associated with Phoenix, and those ended up killing a lot of Vietnamese people. Would I want to go and dig all that up again? Probably not.
It was, I think, run mostly by Bill. I mean, he organized it, I know. But the idea was as a protective device for our own operations, to protect their own operations.
Bill Colby assured me that it was a reasonably crisp and clean operation.
They just murdered anybody whom they thought had any connection to the Viet Cong. I'm speaking now not of soldiers, but I'm speaking of civilians. And so it was a pretty bloody massacre.
Strategic hamlets, rural pacification, all of these things generally fail in a revolutionary situation. That was part of a failed set of policies. And Lyndon Johnson gets absolutely buried in Vietnam.
I got a letter from LBJ. It said, "This is your lucky day. Time to put your khaki trousers on. We've got a job for you to do. Dean Rusk has caught the Asian flu, and we are sending you to Vietnam."
In 4 years' time, U.S. ground troops in Vietnam swell from 20,000 to 540,000. A former Pentagon employee gave the New York Times a confidential file detailing the U.S. involvement in Vietnam and revealing the lies of the Johnson administration.
We invaded Cambodia, we bombed Cambodian targets, and the Pentagon actually created false books, false records, to show that we were bombing inside of Vietnam.
They mistook a civil war for a communist war and cost us 55,000 American lives in the process and 1 million Vietnamese lives.
The Americans violated the Geneva Accord. The Americans committed war crimes. And the American people didn't realize that war crimes were being committed in their name.
Very few people knew about all the terrible things that the CIA had done.